Hi, my name is Shawn Lowe. I'm an instructional designer, and my passion is helping others to grow through interactive and engaging trainings. It started in undergrad when I was a floor manager at a local restaurant called the Town Perk. I got to use a lot of what I was learning in my classes in the field. I majored in audiology, speech pathology, and communication studies, minor in philosophy, and a concentration on interpersonal communications. But I quickly found that I love putting more of my energies into the communication aspect of it. I just love the principles, the theory. It was just really cool to me. So I worked for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where I got to practice more of that for my internship. And then after college, I graduated with a Communication Studies Bachelor's of Science degree. I worked for Miracle-Ear. I became an operations manager because I was much better at the technical aspect and the sales training aspect of it. I increased my territory from 13 to 16 offices, which was great because I got to use my audiology background plus the communication studies background to help do the training to increase the sales to get to that point. I got licensed as a hearing aid dealer and fitter while I was there, and then I created a training on how to to take the test and get licensed. The average rate for succeeding in the license starting off was 33% in Pennsylvania, and I grew that to 86%. I did a lot of remote trainings because the offices were spread out pretty far. There were only 3 territories in Pennsylvania. A lot of work instructions, job aids, guides on how to program the hearing aids the proper way, and I had to make them very easy to learn because a lot of the sales consultants didn't have a college education or didn't come with any kind of background in audiology. After this, I had a family emergency and I had to move to Texas, and so I left Miracle-Ear and I got into the fashion world. Just the opportunity presented itself. I started working for Native Love. Lowe was the owner. She's one of my recommendations. And I had a great time in this field. I learned a lot. I got to focus more on the aesthetics of it while still using the communication aspect of it, whether it be in sales, whether it be in gaining accounts, or training new team members. And my role quickly developed to where my main job was to gain accounts, set up territories, hire people for the different kiosks, the different states, the different malls, the different Sam's Club locations. We had a contract with Sam's Club. I'd hire people, train them, get those areas running, and then move on to the different areas. While I was doing that, I had to create the advertisements, the marketing, the imagery, the posters, the flyers, the handouts, do the photo shoots with the models. One of them got into Cosmo, which is pretty cool. The line called Nava, one of our mochila bags, got into Cosmo. And that was a lot of fun. I learned a ton, and so I just spent hours and hours and hours of every day just working on these different designs, and it was just so cool to me. So after about 5 years, I felt like I wanted something more stable. There's so much traveling involved and constant ups and downs. But my dad, who's a retired professor at Bloomsburg University, turned me on to this instructional technology field, and he said it was the #1 in the nation. And I looked into it, and it seemed like this was everything that I'd love to do, but like combined and enhanced tenfold, and I just fell in love with it. And so I went to Bloomsburg University. I moved back up here, got my Master's of Science in Instructional Technology. While I was a student, I got the Exemplary Student Award. I was a graduate assistant, so I got to work right away with the projects, with the professors, hand in hand, and I was on the Dean's List for my grades. Well, during there, I got an internship with First Quality, and they ended my internship early. Instead of 3 months, they ended it a month early and offered me a full-time position as an instructional designer. And at First Quality, they make products for Procter & Gamble, mainly. They have 7 different lines on that site with different equipment on each line and running different product on each line. And it's all custom machinery because they have patented ways to make the material. It was taking them 2 years to become a slitter operator. So my job with Jason Hill-Biddle, my mentor there and training manager, he's also in my references, we took that training time down from 2 years and reduced it to 3 to 6 months. And it was a great experience. I learned so much more than I learned at the university. The computer-based trainings, the instructor-led trainings, the job aids, the infographics, doing it all with micro-learning. it was such a great field. We developed the thing where we have these little barcodes, the QR codes, and we put them in the participant guides, and then the learner would scan it with their motion tablet scanners, and that would pull up the computer-based training or the work instruction or job aid or what have you, and that just kind of streamlined the training. And that whole world, that was just such a great experience, because not only did we have to do it for each line, we had to mimic that same training across the other 7 lines on site. And using that style really helped to streamline that process. So we created the participant guides. You'll find some examples of those edited, of course, for any sensitive information on my portfolio. So First Quality went from April 2014 to June 2016. And then in July I started at Fulton Financial, which is in Lancaster. I worked at the corporate headquarters. And there, my main job was to revamp their onboarding program. I created a lot of instructor videos, created a lot of informational videos. So like the Fulton story was a video I created where it gives the birth of Fulton Financial to where it is now, like how that happened. I created one called Meet the Employees, and so I went and interviewed and got a lot of information from 8 different territories, 8 different banks, and got some testimonials from them and turned that into a video to give the new hires a better feel for the company, to get them to feel more ingrained in their culture. I created a lot of computer-based trainings for the new policies. I helped the sales department out a lot using that interactive PDF, is what I call that one style I was referring to, where you can click and jump to the one section or the other. There's also examples of that in my portfolio. And with that, we did a lot of screencasts. So we walked through, show them how to do the simple things, and some of the more intricate things with some of the software, because their software was custom for the most part, except for some of the Microsoft Office products. So after my contract was up with them, I started working for Pennsylvania Adult Teen Challenge, and that's where I'm currently working in their audiovisual department, setting up that training, because they have a unique situation. All of their audiovisual department is run by students, and they start with very little knowledge of how to use any of the technical equipment, the cameras, to make the videos, to run the soundboard, to do the live streamings, and they didn't have anything documented, not one it's work instruction, anything. So from start to finish, I was able to take part in creating their entire training structure, making the instructional videos for it, having the work instructions to fall back on, how to create the YouTube playlists, how to run a playlist during a service. They have special events, they have the graduations, the family days. There's a lot of different things they have to be involved with. But the problem was that the people would get really good at it, and then when they graduated, you'd have a whole new batch of people that weren't familiar with the stuff. And so the turnover created a big problem. And so my main focus with them was not only coming up with right structures and ways of going about, like this is how this should operate, this is how you should do this, this should be the new structure for doing a live streaming service, but create the instructions on how to actually do that stuff as well, how to operate the camera, how to hook up the live streaming service, what do you do with it after that, how do you work with After Effects and Premiere Pro to make it a little more engaging and interesting. But my contract is up with them as well, and I'm just staying on now to volunteer until I find my next vocation, which hopefully will be with you. And I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. My name is Shawn, and this is my video interview.